At exactly 0212 hours on July 14, 2026, 24 blast doors buried inside the Zagros Mountains opened at the exact same second. Not one after another, not in sequence, all 24. Simultaneously. Each door weighed 340 metric tons. Each one had been officially denied to exist for 11 years. And each one was the entrance to Iran's most classified weapon on Earth, the missile cities. Underground fortresses built to launch 2,400 ballistic missiles before America could stop a single one. Iran had spent $31 billion and 11 years building the perfect first strike. America had spent 3 years building the perfect response. What happened in the next 49 minutes will change how every military on the planet thinks about hiding weapons underground. Iran did not build the missile cities because they were feeling ambitious. They built them because they were feeling afraid. After watching the United States dismantle Iraqi air defenses in 72 hours in 2003, after watching precision strikes collapse Syrian facilities in minutes, Iranian military planners reached one conclusion: anything on the surface will be destroyed on the first night of any war. The only survivable deterrent is one buried so deep that no bomb can reach it. So they went underground. The network, called Share Moshak in Farsi, which translates directly to Missile City, consists of 24 separate nodes dispersed across 6 mountain ranges spanning 1,400 kilometers of Iranian territory. The tunnel walls are 4 meters of ferro-concrete poured inside natural granite. The depth ranges from 80 to 140 meters below the surface. To put that in perspective, that is deeper than the foundations of the Burj Khalifa go into the ground, and the Burj Khalifa is the tallest building on the planet. Each node houses between 80 and 120 missiles in ready launch configuration. The inventory includes the Karamshar 4 ballistic missile, range of 2,000 kilometers, warhead weight of 1,800 kilograms, accurate enough to strike a specific building in Tel Aviv, Riyadh, or the United States Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. 24 nodes. 100 missiles per node. 2,400 missiles total. Launched in a coordinated salvo, they would overwhelm every missile defense system in the Middle East simultaneously. Iran called this capability their strategic equalizer, their insurance policy, the weapon that guaranteed no enemy would ever dare strike first. The construction cost was $31 billion. The timeline was 11 years. The entire program was denied to exist at every level of the Iranian government, publicly, officially, and repeatedly until the morning of July 14th, when every door opened at once. Here is the part that should make every defense planner on the planet deeply uncomfortable. America already knew exactly where every single door was. The intelligence breakthrough did not come from a satellite, it did not come from a signals intercept or a drone overflight or a cyber attack on Iranian military servers. It came from a person, a human being inside the IRGC Aerospace Force who had walked those tunnels, who knew the facility maps, who knew the blast door coordinates, the tunnel geometries, and the launch preparation timelines, and who had been passing that information to the CIA's Near East Division through a source program designated CovCom Nightwatch. The identity of CovCom Nightwatch remains among the most protected secrets in the entire United States intelligence community. What is known is that the source's reporting allowed American planners to build a targeting package of a precision that no satellite constellation alone could have produced. They did not just know the missile cities existed. They knew the exact GPS coordinates of each blast door. They knew the depth of each tunnel. They knew the geological composition of the rock above each launch complex. They knew which missile types were stored in which node. On the tactical display at CENTCOM Forward Headquarters in Qatar, the 24 missile city locations appear as red diamonds overlaid on a topographic map of Iran. Each diamond has a depth figure beneath it and a missile count beside it. This is not guesswork or estimate. This is a facility diagram drawn by someone who was inside. 3 months before the blast doors opened, the United States began moving assets, not reactively, deliberately. 2 B-2A Spirit stealth bombers departed Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri on a mission filed publicly as a training sortie to Diego Garcia. They were not going to Diego Garcia. They flew to a holding orbit over the northern Arabian Sea at 52,000 feet, carrying 16 Jibu-57 massive ordnance penetrator bombs between them. Each bomb is 6.2 meters long. Each weighs 13,600 kilograms, heavier than 2 fully loaded pickup trucks stacked on top of each other. Each is designed to penetrate 200 feet of reinforced concrete before detonating. The B-2's radar cross-section, the size it appears on enemy radar, is approximately 0.1 square meters. For comparison, a large bird has a radar cross-section of roughly 0.01 square meters. The B-2 is 10 times more visible than a bird on radar, which sounds bad until you realize the Iranian radar operators were looking for something the size of a fighter jet. Iran spent 11 years and $31 billion building the world's most sophisticated underground missile network. America responded by sending 2 aircraft that Iranian radar essentially mistook for aggressive geese. The Minnesota, a Virginia-class submarine, had been sitting at launch depth in the Gulf of Oman for 6 hours. Its payload module loaded with 28 Tomahawk cruise missiles pre-targeted against every Iranian surface air defense radar that could threaten the B-2 approach corridors. 4 F-22 Raptors were forward deployed to a classified Gulf location under an exercise cover designation. CIA ground branch operators were already in position along the Tehran-Isfahan highway with equipment to cut Iran's backup communications fiber line. Every piece was in place before Iran touched a single blast door switch. At 0212 hours, Iran activated the trap they had spent 11 years building. They had no idea they were the ones walking into one. At 0211 hours and 23 seconds before the blast doors finished opening, the space-based infrared system satellite array detected the thermal signature of the hydraulic systems activating on the blast doors themselves. The heat generated by 340 metric ton doors moving is detectable from geosynchronous orbit. The United States Space Force had repositioned 2 additional SPIRS satellites 3 months earlier specifically to maintain thermal coverage of the Zagros mountain range. America did not find out the missile cities were opening when the doors finished opening. America found out while the doors were still moving. The critic message, the highest priority intelligence alert format in the U.S. system, reserved for events that could lead to hostilities within minutes, reached the White House Situation Room, CENTCOM, the Carrier Strike Group, and Strategic Command simultaneously at 0216 hours. From thermal detection to presidential notification, 4 minutes and 17 seconds. General Marcus Webb, commander of U.S. Central Command, received the alert, read it once, and immediately authorized Oakland Stone Garden, a contingency plan that had been developed over 38 months specifically for this scenario. The plan's core logic was simple. The window between blast door opening and first missile launch was estimated between 23 and 41 minutes. The only reliable solution was destroying the missile cities before a single missile achieved ignition. The Jibu-57 massive ordnance penetrator carries 5,300 pounds of PBXN-114 high explosive in its warhead section. The Block 4 variant, specifically developed against hardened granite tunnel complexes using the geological survey data provided by CovCom Nightwatch, is engineered to detonate at a precise depth after penetration, maximizing the overpressure wave through enclosed tunnel networks. When it detonates inside a tunnel, the pressure has nowhere to go. It propagates at 8,400 meters per second through every connected passage. There is no room in a tunnel for a near miss. At 0223 hours, the F-22 Raptors began their suppression of enemy air defenses, tasking firing AIM-88G anti-radiation missiles against the acquisition radars of Iranian S-300 batteries at Tabriz, Isfahan, and Shiraz, the three systems whose overlapping coverage arcs threatened the B-2 approach corridor. The F-22s fired from beyond Iranian radar detection range. The Iranian operators never knew they were targeted. Their first indication was their radar screens going dark. In the electronic warfare picture, you can see the Iranian air defense radar network go from a fully integrated layered system to a series of isolated blind emitters in under 6 minutes. Each radar that goes offline opens another gap in the corridor. By the time the B-2s reach their release points, the corridor is clear. At 0224 hours, 28 Tomahawk missiles launched from the US, Minnesota. Each flew at 30 meters above the terrain using digital scene matching area correlator guidance updated in real time by an RQ-180 stealth reconnaissance drone orbiting at 65,000 feet overhead. Flight time to target, 23 minutes. Their job was not to hit the missile cities. Their job was to destroy the communications relay facility at Parchin that connected the launch authorization chain to missile cities Echo, Foxtrot, and the remaining unopened nodes, severing Iran's ability to issue the final fire order even if the B-2s missed. They did not miss. At 0238 hours and 44 seconds, the bomb bay doors of Phantom 1 opened at 52,000 feet above the Zagros Mountains. 8 Jibu-57 bombs fell in calculated sequence, each one assigned to a specific section of Missile City Alpha and Missile City Bravo, selected based on the facility maps from CovCom Nightwatch and the real-time thermal imaging showing the most advanced launch preparation signatures. The first bomb impacted the granite mountainside above Missile City Alpha at 0240 hours and 19 seconds. It penetrated 58 meters of rock and concrete. Its warhead detonated. The overpressure wave reached the Launch Control Center in 0.004 seconds. The 84 Karamshar 4 missiles in their launch tubes, fuel pressurized, guidance systems in initialization, crews at their stations were destroyed by sequential detonations before a single one achieved ignition. Missile City Alpha ceased to exist as a functional military installation at 0240 hours and 31 seconds. 12 seconds from first impact to total destruction. $31 billion. 11 years of construction. Hundreds of tunnel workers who never knew what they were building. 84 missiles that were supposed to reshape the Middle East. Gone in 12 seconds. Phantom 2 released its 8 bombs 40 seconds behind, assigned to Missile City Charlie and the primary command node of Missile City Delta. Bravo followed. Delta followed. At 0247 hours, the Tomahawks arrived at Parchin and destroyed the communications relay. The authorization chain to the remaining nodes went silent. The commanders at Missile Cities Echo and Foxtrot waited for orders that never came. After 14 minutes of silence per IRC standing orders, they began the emergency shutdown sequence. The blast doors closed. Not because America ordered them to close. Because the men inside had no orders, no communications, and no way of knowing if the mountain above them was about to receive the same treatment as Alpha through Delta. In Tehran, the damage report reached the Supreme Leader at 0301 hours. Missile Cities Alpha through Delta destroyed. Echo and Foxtrot shut down and communications severed. Air Defense Radar Network critically degraded. Parchin Relay Facility destroyed. Communications backbone cut in 2 separate locations along the Tehran-Isfahan highway by operators who had been in position since before the blast doors opened. The Supreme Leader's first question was not about casualties. It was not about retaliation. His first question was, how did they know where the doors were? That question pointed inward, to someone who had walked the tunnels. And that realization that the most classified military program in Iranian history had been penetrated from the inside was more devastating than any bomb. No Iranian missile left the ground. Not one. 49 minutes. $31 billion. 0 missiles launched. This is what American readiness looks like when the trap is set before the enemy decides to spring theirs. Iran built the missile cities on one assumption, that depth equals survivability. Bury something deep enough and no enemy can reach it. That assumption is now permanently broken, not by a better bomb, though the Jibu 57 Block 4 performed beyond its design specification, but by a single human source inside the IRGC Aerospace Force who provided the maps that made every other capability irrelevant. Every military on the planet that relies on physical hardening as its primary survivability strategy received the same lesson on July 14th. The bunker does not protect you if someone inside already told your enemy where to put the bomb. For Iran, the strategic consequences extend beyond destroyed concrete. The deterrence that underpinned every Iranian threat calculation for a decade has been publicly tested and publicly failed. The threat to mass-launch ballistic missiles will never again carry the weight it once did. If you want to understand what Iran builds next, and whether America is already watching that construction too, that story is waiting for you in the next video. Bye for now.